Hey everybody, it's the Man Master here. I'm just doing a video rant today, and it's just kind of what I've noticed the last few years about the metal scene, the rock scene in general. I mean, when did they become such bootlickers and you know essentially tools of the establishment? And it's just like I don't really maybe I'm not desiring like metal is like a full-on revolutionary force of whatever political ideology or nihilism or something like that. But it's just like it's become so safe, and there's part of me that desires, as bad as it sounds, going back to the '80s and you know having like more of a dangerous thing to it, or even the early '90s with the black Norwegian black metal scene. I just kind of sick of it. You go on Blabbermouth and you're like, even like people are just saying stupid stuff. Even like Barney Greenway, it's like he's just like echoing what every other person says instead of having like a unique, even a unique among left wing people like he used to be. Having more of an anti-establishment thing. But you see these people are just such bootlickers and fucking tools. Just I just wish there was like a sense of danger and like controversy. I'll totally admit it. And it doesn't mean like every metal band and every metal musician has to be that way, but you had a genre which essentially scared the fuck out of people in the '80s. You had massive book or not book burnings, record burnings. You had evangelicals, accusing metal fans and musicians of all sorts of things. Now you have like members of Megadeth leading churches, and it's just like, just what happened, you know? I'm kind of sad about it. It's just I'm kind of nostalgic for the danger that metal used to have. Maybe that's a little bit messed up, and maybe I shouldn't wish for that because it wasn't always a good thing. Obviously, PMRC, but it had this like thing to it. If you were a metalhead, you were, weren't to be messed with necessarily. You could go crazy at any time, or fuck someone up, or maybe you sacrifice some people to Satan or whatever. It just used to be a dangerous thing. It's like it's just so safe and so sterile, and that that goes with the production too. It's like you have this sterile, flat-lined production with most of the bands. That's why I've been listening to a lot more like almost, dare I say, indie kind of bands, or even more retro bands. It's like I bought the newest Lucifer album. I like this band True Widow that I discovered on the college radio station. These types of artists that aren't like Andy Sneap, Colin, or even worse, like there's a big producer. There's just some of these producers, and I like. Don't get me wrong, I like some Andy Sneap albums. I'm just saying, like, there's like sameness to the production and sameness to the sound. Kind of gets annoying, and it's just too safe. I mean, do I think metal should be a revolutionary force? Maybe not all, maybe not everybody in it, but yeah, there should be another subgenre of metal that scares the fuck out of people. That that is controversial and dangerous. That's, I mean, I just find it really interesting. I miss those days. I know, but I think it's just like, even if it doesn't go to that kind of nihilistic, almost like thing that I'm talking about, if it had a little bit of more of an edge, metal edge, remember Metal Edge magazine? If it had more of an edge, it would be better. That's what I think about modern metal. People are such babies and stuff. Look at my one of my recent videos. People are just such babies and so entitled and shit. It's like, who cares when some schlub on YouTube says about your favorite band? Who gives a fuck? What just some guy in his apartment doing videos. It's not a big deal. It's like man, I thought you were supposed to be tough. You know, you're a metal fan. You know, I mean, look at Manowar. You know, back in the day, they had muscles. They could kick your ass. You know, Paul Diano could knife you in the throat. I mean, I think he got busted for weapons or something once, and he got busted for drugs too, like in Europe or something, having a knife on him and shit. It used to be dangerous. I mean, Motley Crue, the song "Danger." You know, it's like you're in danger when the boys are around. That's kind of funny because one of my ex-girlfriends was like trying to say it was like problematic, like in a different way. No, it's about not fucking with Motley Crue because they'll kick your ass, not being raped by them or something. But it was a pretty ridiculous argument. Um, you know, I just miss that danger. You know, just like even bands. I mean, even bands that are sensibly mainstream, like Guns N' Roses. Like, you know, you had to like go skip to commercial during the American Music Awards because they were drunk on stage swearing, and they could have, you know, gotten they almost got kicked out of the fucking place. You know, I guess that's kind of coming from like a punk perspective too, because like, and punk has kind of become like this too. It's just a bunch of fucking, you know, man, baby, chode, fucking soy boys. I mean, I'm not. I hate to use that word, but I'm just starting to use it. I'm starting to put that in my vernacular. As bad as it sounds, it just means wuss. But like, you know, it's just Joe Biafra, you know, becoming totally establishment, you know, or he's like, oh, you know, I don't know if he was an enthusiastic Biden supporter, but you know, he used to be saying shit about everybody. You know, it's just like, what happened? What happened to these people? You know, what happened to these motherfuckers? Like, where's the danger? Where's the controversy? Where's the, you know, obviously concerts are banned for other reasons right now. We don't want to talk about that, but in this video, at least, I'm not going to talk about that. But I've done plenty of content on that. But you know, it's like, where are the bands getting banned for what they say? You know, their songs, or where are the trials and getting sued or something? You know, getting kicked off of social media. We just need a little bit more of that. You know, we need a little bit more controversy. Maybe, I mean, maybe you have to go full bore fucking Nazi to even go that route. But I don't think it necessarily has to go that way. You know, it's just like, where are the taboo? Where are the Gigi Allens, right? Where's the Gigi Allens? Where's the Guars? Where are the, um, you know, the Dead Kennedys? Where are the Wasps? Even hell, you know, where's the, you know, where's the Iron Maidens? Fuck, you know, while we're at it just seems like people have kind of become just like content to what, you know, becoming this established thing. So, like, you go to Blabbermouth and you're like, the only dangerous thing is John Schaefer that they're talking about. The only really dangerous person who, you know, participated in the little LARP called the Capitol riots. You know, I mean, which I think it was stupid. And I think it was for reasons that people probably don't like. I think it was stupid because I think they weren't really going after the real power in this country, and they wanted to, they could, you know, but it was all about Donald Trump and their demagogue, you know. So, I mean, but speaking of that, you know, it's like you go on Blabbermouth and you're like, the latest fucking musician talks shit about Donald Trump, you know. It's like, it's all the same opinion. Yeah. Where's the originality in that, you know? Where's the originality of this shit? I mean, criticize John Schaefer, at least he was doing something a little dangerous nowadays in the metal scene. It's just, it's become so fucking safe. And it's not only the safety of, like I said, it's not only the safety of the actual scene, but just like the sameness of the uniformity of everything from the production to the, you know, interviews to the quantization of all the rhythms. It's just very samey. I mean, people criticize me for liking the band Beast in Black because they're really poppy and really like really safe. But like, it's almost like the Beast in Black thing. I see it as kind of like they're so far into that it almost becomes this other thing. Like, it's just so crazy, like so out there That's why I like them. So I mean, that's one of the things about them that I like, is because they take it over the top into another realm with that stuff. But yeah, I just think we need someone. We need some more musicians to do more dangerous things. I mean, honestly, my musical projects, I'm not. That's not my place to do that kind of thing, because that's not my style that I have. But for my projects, really. But it's just like, it's just annoying. It's annoying, because maybe it's bad to like wish for the satanic panic to start again or whatever, but like it's very nihilistic and whatever you want to call it. It's just, to want something like that, to wish for something like that is kind of, it's a little bit weird, I guess, to some people. But it's just like, it's gone so far to the other end that even having a little bit of edge would be nice. I mean, I'm not wishing for like what happened in Norway to happen again, like in, you know, but it's just like anything would be more fucking entertaining than what's going on. And you either have, you have like on Blabbermouth, you either have like these ardent Trump supporters that won't think outside of their box, or you have these fucking like establishment, ostensibly neoliberals that are, just supporting the establishment, and that goes for a lot of people, and it's annoying. Why can't we have someone that thinks outside the box? I remember reading the liner notes of the first Lost Horizon album when it came out. I was surprised to read that the guy thanked Noam Chomsky as like one of his inspirations. I think it was the singer Daniel Hyman. It's like, wow, the guy's pretty intelligent, for saying that. But nowadays you might have a musician thank Rachel Maddow or some shit. Like, what the fuck, you know? I guess the last time that we had any kind of danger in metal was mid 2000s, when the whole dissection, John Notveit. I don't know if that's how to pronounce his name. See, I haven't heard a lot of these people's names pronounced. I read them all these years. So the whole dissection thing, where the whole thing with Dave Mustaine versus him, and didn't want to have him on his tour. Or was that Riding Christ? But either way, the guy killed himself for this weird cult, satanic cult that he was in. It's like, they did this album that was all based on the cult and stuff, the cult's teachings and shit. And it's just like, I kind of miss like having something like that. I don't want people to commit suicide, but it's like having that mystique in metal. Even it's lost. It's all samey and boring and just fucking like, it's like and part of it's because of the shift of the demographic too. So I play this role playing game once a week now, where with these people that I'm playing basically and essentially an 80s metalhead, like edgelord, not edgelord, but an 80s metalhead. What would an 80s metalhead do? Drink beer, have promiscuous sex, do drugs, get into fights, drive a Camaro. That's what I do in the game. That's the character. Nowadays, the fucking your average gent fan would be 350 pound. Average gent like guitarist, aspiring guitarist. I don't know, I'm just stereotyping here. Let's just say like this gent, like metal, this modern metal guy would be like 350 pounds, and be studying for his fucking like math exam, and play gent. I play gent, man. It's cool, man. Where's the edge in that? Where's the brass knuckle fights? Where's the trailer parks? They listen to. I mean, I guess it's because they switched from metal to rap in the more poor working class demographic. But nevertheless, he used to have, used to have danger in metal. I mean, but, and like I said, I'm not saying that I wish for it to go full four back into the 80s, like controversy or even early 90s. I'm just saying, like, it's gone so far off the cliff into mediocre, just uniformity, I guess you'd call it, that it's ridiculous now. And I guess that's because it's such an old genre, but metal was already about 20, 25 years old in the 80s. It's not like it was completely, I mean, by the late 80s, it was about 20 years old, ostensibly. And it's like, I just don't, I just, we need something to rattle things up. It's just like the Marilyn Manson things. Like, that was like the last time in like mainstream rock we had anybody pushing the boundaries like that. Parents were scared of them. I actually called a Christian hotline and pretended I was possessed by Marilyn Manson and stuff. And he's like, he prayed with me. Or no, that was a 700 Club I called. But I listened to some other radio show where the guy was like, he was exorcising the spirit of Marilyn Manson from a kid or something. He's like, I renounce Marilyn Manson and all his demonic ways. Repeat after me. I'm just like, why the fuck isn't that happening in metal anymore? It's become just like this cliche cartoon of fucking chodes, boring. Fuck, man. Need some. I mean, it's just boring now. You go to a show. I mean, you go to a show and it's like, hi man, how's it going? Oh. And I'm not saying metal was like as big of a fight magnet as punk was, because like if you probably went to a New York hardcore show in like the early to mid '80s, hardcore punk that is, hardcore like Master Front and all that, you probably were more likely to get in a fight than like at a fucking uh, even like a Slayer show or a Wasp show. I mean, maybe Slayer a little bit more of a risk, but it's just ridiculous. I don't know. I don't know. I just wish it was a little less boring. And like I said before, with the productions things, just awful. Like every production sounds the same. You you listen to an album, it's the same thing. It's the same flat production. Sometimes it's more compressed or less compressed, and obviously a little bit less compressed stuff is better, with the producers. But it's just, you used to be able to tell productions apart. It's like, oh, this album's produced by Neil Kernan. Oh, this album's produced by Martin Birch. Oh, this album's produced by Colin Richardson. Fuck, even though he's a more modern one. You used to be able to tell, But now it's like you listen to a production, it's like you don't know who the hell it is. Could be anyone. It's just, and same with the bands and same with the musicians. It's just like shredders are a dime a dozen. I got started at shred way too late, and way too late even for my age. I mean, as far as the time I was growing up in, because back in the day, shredders were, I mean, late '80s shredders became more of a dime a dozen, but like still you can tell them apart. You can listen to Guy Man Dude, you can listen to Vinnie Moore, or you can listen to Paul Gilbert. They all sounded different. Now everybody plays shred, and little girls play shred on fucking YouTube. There's these like, it's like a big deal or something, I guess. But it's just like, it's so uniform and boring. It's just like, it's a little wonder that when I talk to people that don't listen to metal anymore, it's like, I understand why, but that's why I've kind of gotten into some other kinds of weird bands like that, more retro bands, or even like a lot of more synth wave. But I want to talk about uniform. But at least synth wave is like ostensibly new, ostensibly 10 years old now, whereas metal, it just has this history and stuff. I don't know, and that's the way it goes. But my wish for metal to be some kind of paragon of rebellion, I think that time has passed, But maybe we need another form of music that'll get the BuzzFeeds and the CNNs of the world to take notice, and to try to, scare people. I think music doesn't play a role as much in people's lives as either anymore, as it used to, because music used to be more people's identity. Now, I'll go on a date with someone that's, much younger than me, and they'll be like, they'll tell me they like some metal because they just have some, they have it on their Spotify. They'll listen to it, but they won't be a metalhead. But they're like, oh yeah, I love that album. You know, I like I like cattle decapitation or whatever. It's like, but there's no like not a lot of people that are actually true and dyed in the wool uh, identities. It's not as much of an identity. Your musical tastes aren't as big of a part as your identity as it used to be. But I kind of miss that. I mean, I was always an outcast because I happened to grow up in a town that was more ostensibly against metal. It's more of a punk alternative town, you know. But I also liked some of that stuff, so didn't fit into either one. But it was like I always considered myself a crossover kid because when I got into metal, one of the albums I listened to a lot was DRI's Crossover, which had come out years before, but it was kind of a statement, that I liked both punk and metal, and I didn't care. When I heard the word Hesher first time in high school, I was like, what's a Hesher? Oh, it's a metalhead. It's like an old 80s metalhead burnout. Punks are so much smarter and better. It's like, whatever. Fuck you. I'm just like, still listen to metal, still listen to punk, still listen to, I mean, there were other people that listen to metal and punk. And then the new metal thing came in and it was just like, oh man, it just totally shat all over any semblance of taste. Metal music. I mean, that's when you had this like suburban, like sort of rich kid jock, like metal thing. That's what I kind of consider it. I always hated the new metal thing and new metal. So, but that's about all. That's all.